Now, let's see if this is going live here. Facebook. There we are. Press that picture, Joseph. Let's see what's happening. Aha! Hello, everyone. Just give me a few moments to share this with some of the other groups, and then I'll be with you. And Jane, she's great, Jane. She's lovely. She's funny. She makes me laugh, even in these very peculiar and precarious times. So hang about. I'll be with you in a second. Share to a group. Okay, who should we pick? Solar G. They sound like good people. Post. Oh, that's got to be approved. That'll get knocked back then. Share again. Let's go to another group. The Freedom Network. That'll definitely get knocked back. Post. Oh, and one more. Share. Share. So what? To your page's story. Don't know what that means. Let's have a look what that says. No. Yeah, let's press that. Share now. There we go. Okay, everybody. Let me just see now if there are any comments coming in. Is there anybody out there? Ah, yes, there is. Rebecca. Oh, hang on. Turn that off. Rebecca, Shree, Lynn Marie, Rebecca Williams. Why have you done? Tony Smith. Oh. Evening. Joanne. Hello, Joanne. My regards to young Ben. Oh, I can see there's some right troublemakers here tonight. So let's see if Jane's here, shall we, and get this show on the road. Nikki, good evening. Nice to see you all. So here we go. Admit what? Admit defeat. Oh no, admit Jane into the room. Okay. Aha. Have you got your, what's the name, on mute?
No, not now.
Oh God, I can hear you. That's good. How are you? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. One second.
Okay. You're not supposed to get up, and it's supposed to be serious, this.
Sorry. There we go. Oh, you okay?
All right. See, you've got all dolled up for the occasion, have you?
Yeah. Is this live?
Absolutely. We're going out to the world. So on your device, if you want to share this to your groups, please feel free to do so. I've just done that.
So, share screen. Is that what I do?
I've got no idea. Why didn't you practice?
Hold on, let me have a look. Participants invite. Share screen. Let me just try and do it.
No, you don't want to share screen. You want to do this from your Facebook.
Okay, so Facebook.
So you go to Facebook.
And yeah.
And do the normal share then to your groups and things. Sorry, everybody across the world. You know, we'll get there in the end.
I'm quite technical usually. I've never used it before. Right, let me see. Give me a sec.
Hello, Annie. I'll speak to people while you're doing that.
Yeah, you have a little chat. I'm completely off the video because I can't see anything, but I'm just gonna
Well, we can all see you. Good job you've got clothes on for the change. Hello, Shanine, my love. Hey, Shanine, that was a beautiful piece of writing you did there. I nearly said a swear word. It was so good. And now I can't find it for some reason.
Right, where are we?
Anne-Marie Pope, nice to see you. Nice to see you. Stephen Waite, hello there. Got a good name there, Stephen. Have you done it? Shared in a group, that's it.
So what I'm sharing in the group is what you've posted, is that right?
I've got no idea.
I'm not very good with this kind of stuff. Right, hold on.
This is inspiring the whole world. This, you know, you're supposed to be coming on, giving us inspiration and everything else.
Let me see. Hold on. Joe, I have no idea how to share this on Facebook.
Okay. Well, I think we'll maybe if one of your people, you know, because you've got loads of people, maybe they could share it then to groups and things like that.
Okay, let me just see, because I think I've found out how to do it.
Okay.
Did you, when you done a post about us going live, did you put up a link on it, or was it just?
No. It's just like they just got to go. You're not trying to tell me what to do, are you? Good God, I've met people like you all my life.
So what? How do they know where to go and see us live?
Well, they'll go onto my my page.
Yeah.
And then they'll. Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry. Let's just get this show on the road.
Okay, we'll get going with it. Let me just I'm just going on to yours as well. I've seen these on all the videos. It's not just me.
So you've already started making excuses. You're supposed to be coming on here as an example of empowerment.
I know.
Cool, calm.
Oh yeah, I found it. I found it.
Oh, hang on. That wasn't a big yawn and a. Oh.
Right, bear with me. Share.
I'm in my scruff today. Can you tell? I'm in my scruff. I've had a sort of day of trying to catch up and things like that, you know.
Share to a page.
Anyway, everybody, bear with us. And I've got plenty of toilet. I've got plenty of toilet roll. Thanks. Don't worry about me. I'm already sorted.
Oh my word! It's funny, Joe. Right. Done. Okay.
There we are. Dorothy's helping us from afar here. Thank you, Dorothy. Sorry, Dot. Cindy, hiya. Shared. Oh, Cindy's sharing stuff. That's good. We'll get going in a minute and talk about like real world situations.
So shared that. I'll just share it into the big group, Joe, and then we're done. I've promised everyone I'll share it in, you see. So share to group.
Done. You have been. You know, all that stuff.
Where are Reiki rooms? Share.
Becca, what are you laughing at? Because you're on next week, hopefully.
Okay, I'm into the pages and I'm back with you. I can't find you now. There I am.
Good. Can you see a screen with the both of us on?
Yes, got it.
What's that thing behind you? It looks like a spirit that's coming out of the wall. Is that some sort of lyran or maybe an Arcturian, or these days very common to have a Pleiadian, right?
Which one?
On your shoulder. The one that's like, or maybe you can't see it. Maybe with my acute clairvoyant vision, I'm picking up things coming out of your wall. Right.
Possibly, yeah. Oh my gosh.
Anyway, enough of this nonsense. Who are you? I've never met you before. Who the hell are you? Right. And why are you on the IAM Connection live? All right, let me explain. Let me explain. What this show's about, Jane, is it's really about turning up, relaxing, and just seeing what emerges next, because I think that's the only way to live life at the moment, is to sit, to completely relax, and to sort of almost dissolve into your heart and say to your heart intelligence, can you please guide me through this? Because I've got no idea what's going on. What do you think about that?
Yeah, completely, totally. I think exactly the same, yeah.
So how are you getting on in this very peculiar time of human existence? How are you getting through it?
So a couple of days ago, I suppose I had a bit of an emotional breakdown. So for anyone that doesn't know me, I'll just explain a little bit about me so you know. I own a centre really just for well-being. So I do all different kinds of holistic therapies. I do teachings and I do workshops, and I work a lot with crystals and all of that kind of stuff. So excuse me, no cough. It's a good job I'm on screen, isn't it?
Yeah, I can see all the water droplets hitting the screen then.
But yeah, so I do a lot of work with like crystals and universal energy work, and it's had a huge impact on my life, and I just have a huge passion now for sharing it with other people. A lot of kind of mindfulness techniques, and I run meditation classes, and I just do so many different things. Joe and I do some things together as well, and it's just all about keeping balanced and keeping a state of well-being. And it's difficult, even people like me that run this kind of business, and like Joe, or like anybody who runs a wellness business and all about sort of holistic spiritual, anything like that, people think that you can just charge on through it, and that's not true. And I think the most important thing that I'd like to share with everyone is that actually, everyone's worried at the moment, and everyone gets anxious. That's okay. It's just about how to manage that so that your brain doesn't run out and spiral out of control. What do you think, Joe?
Well, I try not to think these days, because at my stage of spiritual enlightenment, I just open up and not think, and just, I'm joking now. If I put my hand up like this, I'm telling a joke, okay? So, what do I think? God, I think, what the F in hell is going on? That's what my head's saying to me. Yeah. And there's another part of me that's saying, right, you'll be all right, son. You know that, don't you? And that's the way I feel. And this is what I really think. I think that there's two obstructions for people going forward here and ascending, if you like to use these words. Lots of people are talking about ascension symptoms and evolution and the next stage of human consciousness and stuff. I understand what they're saying there, but I can see that it's two things, right, that are blocking people from letting go and be guided through to this next stage. And those two things are fear on the one hand. And when you consider that most of the world now, right, is concerned about finances, they're concerned about their personal and physical security, their homes. This is the first stage of being a human, and the thing that we fall right back to when we're in danger. If you like, I mean, we've talked about Maslow's hierarchy of needs and all that. This is the first instinct for self-protection. And most people are now living in that first instinct. And if through your growing up you weren't completely and utterly grounded in that department, you will now be absolutely and utterly terrified with what's going on. And I think I was there. You know my story, and I won't bore the viewers with it, but it was one of all my life. My life was racked and wrecked with fear, but pretending that I wasn't afraid. That was my life. I was afraid on the inside and pretending not to be afraid on the outside. And those two blocks, fear and pride, they stop people really getting in touch with their authentic, essential spiritual self. Jane, I didn't have a clue about this until I reached the point where I made a couple of serious attempts to kill myself after years and years and years of stress, anxiety, depression, homelessness, alcoholism, and all those sorts of things, And I got to a point where I nearly died. It was almost that point of, if you like, it was an epiphany, and I'm not a religious person, so I'm not going to go down the religious route, but I can understand where religious people are coming from. But it was like a sort of a moment of clarity. And it was almost like I was turned around, kicked up the bottom, and some higher guiding, deeper force said to me, son, you shouldn't have signed up for this if you couldn't take a joke, And at the deepest and darkest point of my life, there was some sort of greater power that was having a laugh, having a laugh with me, And from that point, my life turned round, and I've allowed this inner, deeper, higher guidance, right, to manage my life on a daily basis and help me step by step to recover, to improve, and to basically get a much, much better quality of life. I'm hardly ever afraid at all now. I don't feel at all afraid in the circumstances that I'm in at the moment. And, my wife and myself were going through difficulties like everybody else, some worse, some better, you know, it doesn't really matter. But I think that this is a really, really, really testing time for every single person on the planet. I think it's almost set up in a way, without going too deeply into it, so that people can actually let go and trust something that's much deeper within them.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I was going to go on so much, but it's back to you. Juice.
Back to me.
Your go.
So yeah, I mean, when you're saying about not realizing, you know, you were just saying them not realizing about what was actually being shown to you and what was happening. I think with so many things, you don't because we're so ahead of ourselves, we're so in September before we're even, and when you're just talking about being in the present moment, like, and just being guided each day, that's something that's really I've kind of tried to be that way for many years now, since through all the difficulties. And, you know, I won't go too deep into the story because most people know who know me, and those that don't, I'll be here for hours. So I won't go too deep into it. But I've struggled massively with anxiety, mental health, inconsistent behaviours, bad relationships, abuse as a child. There's so many things that have gone on through my life, and they've definitely led me through life with fear until probably, and I still get fearful sometimes, you know, you know, I'm still growing myself. And what I try to inspire people to do and teach people to do is to reconnect with their own sort of soul and their own being, so that they can just let that come out, and they don't have to be fearful. They don't have to be scared. What is going to happen is going to happen. There's not, even in this situation now, you know, I took a massive leap of faith in March last year to open up my business, and it had been running for some time from home, and I was working in different sort of marketing places, you know, selling houses or selling cars or selling this or selling that, and I was very, very salesy, which kind of goes in favour because I'm running a business. But at the same time, I took that leap of faith, and that was quite a significant amount of income to drop from, to just be guided by what I would say spirit, to be guided by a higher source. What that is, I will never ever know. But I just knew inside of me that there was something guiding me to take that step, and I trusted it without fear. Nearly lost my relationship because obviously the panic with a brand new baby of my partner, brand new baby, you know, I was earning good money. He was like, you are off your head, you are off your rocker, you are inspiring, Jane, and you are really good at what you do, but opening a business, you know, and leaving your job. But yeah, because I felt guided to do that, and it was right, you know, that's what happened, and it's gone from one extreme to a whole other, and it's helped hundreds and hundreds of people across the world, across Liverpool, and I think because of that, it's, you know, it's rewarding to watch people do just what I've done as a normal person, you know. It's rewarding to watch that. But having all of these announcements and everything that's going on in the world right now, of course it's brought fear. You know, that's my livelihood. I've got a family. I've got a family here. There's fear there. And on the first few days of thinking I'm going to lose my business, I did go into panic, and I thought, come on, Jane, use your marketing skills. You know, what ideas have you got to throw out there? And I wasn't connecting to my heart, and I wasn't connecting to my true purpose. So in the end, I thought, Jane, stop panicking. Take a step back and look at the reality of it. What is it that people need? They need support right now. Forget the business, because it will map out how it's supposed to. And now announced is the government is going to support local businesses. So that kind of answered me 4 or 5 days ago. And then it was announced on the news. But I just knew to just take a step back and stop panicking. Just stop panicking. And then I knew there was so many clients sending me orders of products that I know they already have out of loyalty and support to just support me. And that's like the community that we live in is such a beautiful place. And I think, you know, having being surrounded by so many beautiful people, you don't realize how lucky you are, and you don't realize the impact you're having on people's lives until you actually stop, which is what's happened. That it's like the world has gone into just, you know, shutdown. Yeah. And everyone's stopping and reconnecting to themselves, you know.
A lot of this stuff you do is often called woo-woo.
Yeah.
Do you think that you should be profiteering using woo-woo and making money out of these poor unfortunate people? I thought I'd just throw that in there.
No, that's all right. No, so people, do you know what? There's been, out of probably hundreds and hundreds of people, there's been about 3 people that have sort of downput what I do. And I think what I do is not play on the vulnerable. What I do is not play on people that are in need of help, because there's so many places that are free that offer those services. So, but people choose to come and see me and see people, you know, like me. And the reason being is I don't believe that. No, I don't think it's wrong for me to have a business on wellness. And no, I don't think it's wrong for me to offer holistic therapies and services to people that are going through depression or anxiety, or to people that are going through cancer treatments. No, I don't, because it's not the treatment. It's not, how to put this, it's not the, I'm just it's really my time away from family, away from, I'm not doing anything. It's not me that's doing it. I believe I'm a channel that I'm working with energy, and I'm just guided to do what I do. Now, I've been said by so many people, say so many, there's been about 3 people that have said to me, I don't know how you do it. You know, I don't know how you do it without getting exhausted. It's because I understand how to work with energy. I've done it 5 to 7 years ago, and I collapsed because I didn't understand how to protect myself, and I was using my own energy to try and make them people feel better, to make me feel better. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. So you think at first you had the good ideas, but you were applying your ego, really. Would that make sense?
Yeah.
And so
100%,
your ego itself, the human body mind complex, was giving good intentionally, but it was basically from a head. Yeah. It was basically from a head trip. I'm not talking about you here. I'm talking about what I've understood about my learning. And I did exactly the same thing.
100%,
and I think that the path to hell is paved with good intentions, I think, because I think what the ego does is it gets an idea and it feels that everybody else should stick to the same idea. And then when people don't listen to the advice, we get resentful and stuff like that. And that's basically, you know, it's still based on a judgment or some sort of standard that the ego has. I agree. And I think once you become exhausted and get to that sort of second rock bottom, if you like, then that's where acceptance comes in, where you have to sort of let everything go, metaphorically, and I say this a lot, metaphorically decapitate yourself, you know, take your head away, and just allow then the guidance to come from the deepest aspect of you, which is your heart of hearts, which is your soul. You know, let me ask you a direct question. How do you know, Jane, when you've made the right choice?
How do I know?
Yeah.
Because I feel free. That is the only word to use. It's like when you treat clients and I'm not in it. I can't explain. It's not, and chatting before and chatting after, but I don't know. Yeah, I just feel free. When I've made a decision that I feels right in my heart, I feel free. Can I share something with you, Joe?
Yeah, as long as you don't use any swear words, I would never. Okay.
I would never. Have I swore? I haven't swore, have I?
No, neither have I. It's a miracle.
Yeah. So basically, a few days ago. So years ago, I used to suffer with health anxiety. So I wouldn't even take a paracetamol because I thought something was going to happen to me. I didn't know what it was going to do to the body. I would shake. I would end up in hospital. I would you know, it wasn't nice. It was really bad. It was horrible to go through that. And I know that there's so many people that can relate to what I'm saying when I say that. But you know what? I do genuinely believe. Sorry, there's notifications coming up of people leaving messages and stuff. I do genuinely believe that. I got completely sidetracked there, Joe. Sorry. What was it?
What were you going on about, Scott? Yeah, another one that doesn't half go on. Yeah, you were saying, you said to me, can I share something with you? And I said yes. So you can now share that. You've forgotten what it was. Why can't I hear you anymore? Hello? Can you hear me? I can't hear you either. So this happens sometimes.
Can you hear me now?
I can, yes. Can you
hear me?
Click
mute and then click it off.
Can you hear me now?
No.
How did you know I just said that then? Can you hear me now?
No, I can't hear you, Joe. Let me just try and turn my volume's right up. I can't seem to hear you, Joe.
Okay.
I can hear you now.
Oh, good. I don't know what happened there. So,
no idea.
What we were saying is, you said, Joe, do you mind if I share something with you? And I said,
yes.
Of course. Carry on.
Okay. So I feel as though this may help some people because you know, we've got to be a realist and we don't know what's going to happen. And we do, unfortunately, there's 90% of the population in the whole of the world that live in fear. And I think they don't live in fear every single day, but when things like this happen, their physical instinct is to go into fight and to just charge through and panic. And that's why everyone's panicking and panicking about everything. Now, the other day, I did go into a kind of, there was a place that I used to live when I was younger, when I was about 19, and it wasn't a very nice place that I lived. And I went into this, I woke up in the morning and I had the same feeling. And it was the strangest thing. And I haven't felt that since I was young. And I thought, well, I'm still young, but, you know, young. And I thought, what is that feeling? And then I was trying to connect with it and I was thinking, because I was trapped, I felt trapped. And I recognised that I feel trapped here. I've been free and probably taken advantage of the freedom for so long that I now feel trapped and all these emotions or feelings are coming back up. And I just thought, I don't want to feel like that. And I just went and pushed it back down, forgot it, got up, seen to the baby, was walking around the house, making a cup of tea. We weren't going out because she hasn't been too well. And then I started getting really frustrated and I started getting really angry and irritable. And Charlotte was just saying, can I have this, mummy? Can I have that? And I was like, Charlotte, be quiet. You're just saying mummy, mummy, mummy all the time. Be quiet. You know, and my head, it felt like it was going to explode. And I just ignored all of the feelings. I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to face it. Because I'm this person who's been helping so many people and I should be in this great place of well-being and I shouldn't be feeling all of these emotions and anxiety. I've got to stay in a good place for people. But actually, the more I pushed that feeling down and sort of suppressed it, the worse I started to feel. And then Colin only crunched crisps in my ear in the kitchen. Literally. He only crunched the crisp and I threw water at him. Literally, I threw a glass of water at him. Okay. So when I threw the glass of water at him, he was like, you are off your rocker. What are you doing? So I just said, oh, move out of my way. And I was all angry and frustrated. I was like, what crystals should I get? And I was grabbing crystals and I made myself a cup of tea and I went and sat in the garden. And I just sat there. And Charlotte was playing and I just sat there and the next minute I looked up And then I just started crying, and I was crying and crying. And then my cup of tea just kept filling and filling because there was just tears dropping in it, you know. And literally, I was sobbing my heart out, and I was panicking. I'm going to lose my business. And in the end, I just surrendered into that moment. And I literally sobbed like a baby. I was slobbering. There was snot everywhere. And honestly, and I was so upset. But then something happened. And it was like I was getting this message through of, I can't remember word for word what it was now, but it was something along the lines of everything's going to be okay. You know, you need to just reconnect to your heart a little bit. You need to just reconnect to energy a little bit. Get out of this fear that you're in, and what will be will be. You know, and that is what I truly believe in. I believe in, you know, yeah, I believe you create your own destiny, and I believe you can, you know, you can put things on a board and get excited about these things, and you can do this and do that. But what is there for you is there for you, and you're there to teach someone else something. I believe you are there to teach somebody else something, and whether that be your children, your partner, the people you pass through in life. And that's why I always say, you know what, I surrendered in that moment, and I've given up on regret of things that I've done in the past, and I've given up on regret of the way I've treated people or they've treated me. You give up on that because you just let that go, and you forgive them and you forgive yourself. But sometimes when you're in that moment of just sort of, you know, I don't know, I can't explain it. You have to turn to energy, like, because it's energy what will heal. I truly believe, sat in that garden, that it was nature. It was nature that was healing my soul, and that's why I always advise people to go out in nature.
Marv, you know, that's why I love you, because you're honest, you know, and people can probably just tell that you've just opened yourself up there. And
I'm just totally transparent, you know. I'm just, that's it. What you see is what you get. There's no hide, you know.
I think my aim on sort of setting up the I Am Connection is to bring people on and just ask them to open up and be honest, you know, and just see what comes out, because sometimes it helps them and they don't realize what they've been hanging on to. But my thing, as you know, is that I suppressed and repressed stuff all of my life, you know, and it built up basically into like an atomic explosion waiting to go off. And I drank, and sometimes when I drank, it let all this stuff out, and that freedom of the release, right, addicted me to trying to get the freedom.
Of course, yeah.
And so it was that disinhibition and that release of all that pent up emotion that made me feel so good, you know. And so the thing is, my thing now is to help people to express who they are from their core. And what I've learned about me is that I thought I was me, but really I was just playing everybody else's game, you know. And that's one thing I learned, is when I came back from that point of death, I realized that I'd been living everybody else's life. I call it, I was sort of implanted with external moral codes that weren't mine, you know. And over time, I've been able to let go of those externally derived, socially conditioned sort of impulses and reactions, right? And I've sort of started my life again. You know, that's the fourth time you've coughed in this hour, so you need to maybe go to the doctors after this. But no, I've learned that there is a pure, essential part of me called my soul, which is completely and utterly individual. It's not the same. It's similar maybe to other people, but it's unique in itself. And I believe every single person on the planet is unique and vibrates to a particular frequency. And not until you find that frequency are you actually working from who you really are. Something that came to me a couple of days ago was, when you meet people, don't ask them how they are, ask them who they are, you know. And I thought, oh, that's good, I must remember that, you know. So
I like that.
So the point about it is, that's what somebody did to me. They said, Joe, forget all this, you've got all sorts of qualifications, but you're not that clever because you've just tried to kill yourself, you know what I mean? So why don't you just let all that go and just start asking yourself deeply, who am I? What is the purpose of my existence? And that's when my new life started from there, you know. And what I've realized is, and I said in the spiel that I put up about this meeting tonight, is that we'd have some simple, straightforward, shoot from the hips, practical steps and tips that might help people.
Yeah.
And my thing, as you know, is called mindful breathing, because I've realized that the way we breathe, the quality of our breathing, the rate of our breathing and the depth of our breathing impacts upon the whole body. Every single cell in the body, right, is directly and intricately connected with the breath.
Yeah.
Via the vagus nerve. And I'm getting a bit technical here because some people who are on, they want to know this, you know, because they've asked me, can I talk about it? So the vagus nerve is the feminine aspect of the autonomic nervous system. And I think what's happening across the planet and all the stuff that's going on, without getting into the details, I think that we've lived a very, very masculine dominated life for a long time. I think we've been in this masculine dominated sort of hierarchy for a long time, and nature itself is changing. There's a new cycle coming in, and it's allowing the sacred feminine to come back and nurture basically the imbalanced masculine. I don't know what I'm going on about. This is what happens when they get on these sometimes. Well, what does that mean in simple terms? It means put your hands on your heart and just very, very gently, just relax your shoulders, relax your eyes, relax your nose, relax your jaw, and just breathe in. 2, 3, 4, 5. Stop. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5. Stop. And do that with a beautiful, as you draw in, and the inspiration, that's why it's called inspiration, draw in a beautiful, loving, smiley, caring feeling. And when you get to that stop point, collect all the stress and tension that's inside of you, and then breathe it all the way out again. So let me just explain that. It's called mindful breathing. It's basically the root of all sorts of yogic practices, right? And it's in, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I think, Jane, that's probably because we've talked and you've learned some of these techniques from me and stuff like that. But sometimes just going into nature and just taking some time out for yourself to reconnect with your heart and soul and Mother Nature as well, right? Then the inspiration comes in then to guide you through the next moment. And I think that's what happened to you, is because it's like a purgative process. You know, it's a purge, and it's called an emotional catharsis. And what catharsis literally means is a cleansing of the soul, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I've been so. Are you bored now? Should I carry on? Are you looking bored?
No,
there?
I'm really enjoying what you're saying.
All right,
I know all my lovely people will be as well. So
but what I'm saying is, it sounds technical because I put this up as the art and science of correct breathing and science and spirituality meeting. You're the spirituality bit, you know, and I'm like the you're the light.
I'm the woo woo.
Yeah, you're the woo woo white hat white angel, right? And I'm like the dark angel, you know what I mean? The fallen one that's making a comeback, you know, the black dragon octopus energy that's turned around and decided, I think I might as well give a hand here to these
Joe.
on the planet. So to get back, honestly, everybody, please listen to this. This has been the most effective, the most simple. It's to turn you back to yourself, right? So you put your hands on your heart like a butterfly. The kids can do this.
You do it with your little Jobo.
You can do this. You can teach the kids this like a little angel in their heart. And you just give a little press and just imagine that you're breathing a beautiful, smiley, gentle, caring feeling from the palm of your hand. And it goes in, 2, 3, 4, 5, stop. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, stop. I swear to you all that if you find a nice quiet place in nature, if possible, I go to the cemetery a lot because I'm sad, right? I go to the cemetery. It always feels peaceful there to me. There's a particular bench by a duck pond, and I sit there, and as soon as I sit down, it's almost like they've got used to me now, and they come round me and stuff like that, you know. So I feel comfortable, and then I'll spend maybe 40 minutes just sitting, doing this technique. And what I found is, from a neuroscience point of view, this technique, which is called heart rate variability biofeedback, this technique causes your brain to develop new pathways in a positive way, because it's the quality of the feeling that drives this process, that changes the way your head works. So let me just say this and I'll give you a chance now. So it's, you change your breathing. So you use breathing to change the way your heart works. The way your heart works changes the way your head works. The way this works in a coherent way, your head opens up, it floods you with new, healthier options, and then you can make better choices. That's what's happened, and I've been practicing this now for nearly 28 years, and my life has been transformed. Does that mean to say that I don't make any mistakes? Of course, I make mistakes, but you know what? I let myself off with them straight away, because how the hell can you really learn unless you make mistakes anyway? How is it possible? You know, so they are, you now, let me take it over to you. There's my science bit. If you can bung a bit of like spiritual type woo-woo onto that, that'll be good.
Yeah, I mean, I always say that, like, whenever I do any kind of meditations or anything like that, I definitely use that technique of connecting to the heart and breathing in. You know, I do the deep breath in, and I always go in for 4, I hold for 2, and I release for 4, for 5, for 2, for 4, whatever the breath is. I think it's important to connect to that breath. And I always share with people, when you're so what happens is people say to me, but I've never done meditation before, like I can't black my mind out. And I'm like, good, because you don't need to do that. That's not what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to see black and black your mind out. What you are supposed to do is recognize what is actually going on in your soul and what is trying to feed through to address. So sometimes, well, all of the time, whenever we're doing any kind of anxiety relief or anything like that, I always say to people, energy will help and promote the healing for that. So what I would suggest doing is when you're lay there or sat there in a meditation position or lay down and you're doing that breathing, the breath that you're taking, if you're connecting to that and then something's coming in, such as oh God, I forgot to take the washing out, for example, just be like, okay. And then something else might come in, like, oh God, I wonder what, I've got that pain again in my heart, like, oh God, am I having a heart attack? No, because you would be literally on the floor within a couple of seconds if you was, so don't worry. If you do get a pain there or there, you're fine, unless you're on the floor after a few minutes. But I always say, just welcome it in. Just welcome it in. Thank it for coming in. Thank it for showing you, because actually I believe it's a higher guidance. Your body is here in September, for example, and your soul is here. And what's happening is, where that ahead, the mind and the physical body and the emotion is here, and the spirit's like, hey, hold up, wait for me, you know. So what it's all about for me, I believe, what it's all about is it's about bringing the mind and body down and rising the spirit up to create alignment within the human energy system. And when you've created that alignment, because you've become that relaxed, it allows the energy to flow through naturally. And when the energy is flowing through naturally, you can be more connected to your own thoughts, to your own feelings. And through that, I believe, is all through, you know, through the very, very crown here. That's where it's all emitted through. And it all connects right here at the center of the heart. And when you're doing that kind of meditation, if you are, just the one bit of sort of guidance I would give, which I give to anybody, is when you're breathing and you've got all of these anxiety and, you know, and these worrying thoughts, which can't be helped sometimes. We don't know everybody's story. But this will help if you can get into that state of connecting to the breath, like Joe's just said, and breathing. What will happen is these thoughts will start to arise in your mind. And when they do, just give that thought that's here the same thought as you thinking about a holiday or thinking about a friend or a family member. And how to do that is just welcome it, because once it's come, it will be guided away. Look at me with my little actions. But once I'm doing a little dance.
Very good.
Kidding. But I believe once it's come, it'll be guided away. It's being shown to you to recognise what's going on. And sometimes it gets to the root of it rather than just going, oh my God, my daughter had odd socks on this morning because I couldn't find, it gets to the root of, why does that even matter that she's got odd socks on? That doesn't matter. If feet are warm, it's fine. And I'm not talking about me there.
No, of course not. Of course not.
Yeah.
See, my experience and my learning about me has shown me, like you've just said, how totally disconnected I was.
Yeah.
From my body sensations. I was dissociated and disconnected and just living this world in the head. I was like a talking head, you know what I mean? A head on a stick. And what I've learned is I had many, many years of drinking. I had many years of taking medications, both prescribed and not, to keep me in my head and to keep me away from my body. And I've realized now is that when you get back in touch with your body, you will reconnect with your emotions as well. So for a time, hypersensitivity of emotions is, believe it or not, it's positive, because I was not used to being able, if I got an emotional feeling, a negative feeling, I would then jump into my head and try and find some way to distract myself from dealing with that feeling. So it's part of my growth was to feel any disturbance. And like you've just said, is rather than jump away from it, was to sit deep in it and more or less say, what are you trying to show me? Almost like a little lost child who was crying out for attention,
Yeah.
And so, but one thing I've learned through my physiology, and I mean, Jane, I've got a lot of scientific qualifications. I'm a fellow of the Institute of Biomedical Sciences. And that really means that I've got quite a broad knowledge of things like microbiology and immunology, which comes in handy now in this current situation. I'll talk about that in a minute. But what I've learned as well is how the body functions according to what's going on between the ears. So I as you know, I'm a consultant in psycho, neuro, endocrino, immunohematology. And what that basically means is that what's going on in your mind, and we're mostly unconscious of this, sends signals down your nervous system into your endocrine glands and your glands that secretes biochemical substances into your blood and into your plasma. That then impacts upon your stem cells, and your stem cells will produce whatever you're sending, the signals you're sending from your mind first. And I never knew that, you see, because I tried to treat the body first and realize that now that meditation and mindfulness and taking actions based upon inspiration and intuition is the way forward. I see that really clearly. But here's the thing is, and a lot of unscrupulous authorities know how humans work, that if you're kept in fear and you're always living on your wits and on your toes, you don't have a chance to sit quiet long enough to come to your own conclusions about things. Now, you can work out what I'm saying here, but sometimes when you look outwards, you can't believe everything that you see on the television. You can't believe everything that you hear on the television, and you can't believe everything that you read in the papers as well, So how do we discern what's true from what's false? And I've learned that if you allow all this sensory information to come in, allow it to sink deep into your heart. This sounds daft, but then allow your heart intelligence to send the information back to you as truth. And I don't, Jane, you know me now. I only listen and go with the feelings that come from deep within me. That's my sensor. How many times did you have feelings as a child and you allowed adults to talk you out of the feelings you were having? I used to have that all the time with my mum. I'd say to my mum, I don't like that person, mum. He doesn't feel nice and all this. And my mother would say, shut up, shut up. Speak when you're spoken to. Sit in the corner. You can't talk about the parish priest like that. And you know what? Looking back, I was right. Or should I say, the feelings and the intuition that was trying to guide me was telling me the truth. even from an early age. So, Jane, that's come back to me now. And what I'm saying to the viewers is sitting quietly, doing that slow, in slowly, out slowly with a positive feeling. It will almost excite and ignite is probably a better word. It will ignite your intuition, and you'll start to see things much more clearly than you have for a long time, because that's what's happened to me. It's almost like you're waking up from some sort of crazy dream and you start to see the truth. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I do. And I think, do you know as well, like when you're connecting and you're seeing and you're connecting to yourself and you're feeling those things and you're seeing those things, you notice that your surroundings completely change. And I always talk about this to everybody that I meet. I explain the only way I explain to them, the only way I can explain to them is I say to people, look, would you describe yourself as a good judge? They're like, I don't know how to do what you do. And I'm like, you're gifted. And I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm just a normal person with a good heart that wants to help people. And because it's helped me, I'm not gifted. Maybe I understand energy a little bit more than what some people do, but I'm not gifted. I'm not the chosen one. I'm not this, I'm not that. I've just researched and studied more maybe than that person has. That's come to me for the first time. So my sort of message to them is, look, when you walk into a room and there's 10 people, how do you decide who you go and speak to? Well, I can just tell by looking at them, like, I'm a good judge of character. I said, there you go. That's it. That's what energy is. You are connecting to somebody's energy and their aura. And there's probably 99.9% of people on this video that are good judges of character, or they would call themselves good judges of character. But actually, you are connecting to energy there, and you're connecting to your own heart by guiding you of what is right at your energy level. And I always talk about the vibrational ladder of energy. And with my hands, I always talk about my hands. So I always talk about the vibrational ladder of energy. And when anyone comes to see me, I never tell them where they are on the ladder, because I don't know where they are, only they do. But all I explain is this ladder. And I say, for example, you come in and you're on step 2 of this ladder, and everyone around you is on step 2. So you've got hubby, you've got this, you've got that, you've got that. And it's all, and this is what's going on in your life. This is how you're feeling. You have energy healing, and you reconnect to your own heart, and you balance the mind, body, emotion, and spirit to create alignment. You go away and you hit ladder 10, and you're up here for about 21 days to 4 weeks. And I always say to people, I will not see clients less than 4 weeks apart, 4 to 6 weeks apart, because I feel guidance will not give me an accurate read of what is going on. So I like to give it long enough for them to go right up that ladder and naturally drop to their level. Yeah. And that is usually higher than where they were. Is this making sense?
Perfect.
So when I do that and I talk about this vibrational ladder and they go away and then they come back, they understand what I'm talking about. And I always explain it and say, some people say to me, I don't understand why, my relationship's in turmoil, or I don't understand why, I'm feeling so anxious, or I don't understand why I'm panicking over this or that all the time, or I don't understand why I'm so spiritual, but I just can't connect. And I say, look, the best thing you can do is look, if you walked into, and I always use this as an example because I try and keep it simple for people, because I'm not very academically clever at all. I'm intelligent, but I'm not academically clever. So when I try and explain this to people, I try and explain it in a simple form of saying, if you, for example, was to walk into a garden centre, right, and you had a lovely waterfall, a lovely water feature that would sit in your garden, and it had 7 pools of energy, and those energy pools of water, and that water is trickling from the top, and it's trickling down to the next, and it's got a little fall, and then it's trickling, it's got a little fall. Sometimes what happens is a rock off that little flow of water jumps in front and blocks the flow. Okay. So when that happens, you go into the garden centre and you see the one with the rock that's jumped in front, and then you look to your left and you see the one that's flowing really nicely. Which one are you going to buy? You're going to buy the one that's flowing nicely. And that's why it's so important to recognise that about the self and how yourself is flowing, because people can't understand sometimes why they can't attract things, myself included. Why can't I get the right people? Or why haven't I, why am I still feeling a bit anxious about all of this, coronavirus or this or that, when, I'm supposed to feel okay? But actually, understanding that concept of those energy centers and knowing what you can do to keep them balanced is the exact way to attract the right people, just like I did with you, Joe. I feel like I was drawn to do what I'd done in college to connect with you. 100%, I believe that, because on those, I wrote you a card at the end of that teaching, because I connected with all of that, and I think it was extremely powerful, and it was extremely, it was very like academic stuff, and that, I'm not very good with that, and you helped me kind of focus with that. But at the same time, you taught me so much about myself in that short period of time. You taught me so much about myself, and from that moment forward, I think people, if they can connect deeper to themselves and use strategies such as mindfulness, meditation, use crystals, there's loads of different crystals. I've got crystals around my house everywhere. And I always say, set a little space at home. It's your sacred space. Set a little space up at home, outside in the garden, in the home, wherever it may be, and make that your sacred space. This is mine here. So I have like my little candles, my little Buddhas. I've got me and Colin there. I've got the baby, and then I've got all of that up there, which is like my singing bowl and all my stuff. And when the baby's getting bathed, or I'm bathing the baby, or whatever, I always take time to just get in that moment on that little mat. There's a little mat down there, I'll just show you. And I just sit on there and I just reconnect a little bit. And I think if you can do that and incorporate your crystals and your energy and all of the different things that will promote healing, you will sustain a correct level of sort of enlightenment and balance within your energy.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I see that you've cleaned up since the last time I saw that room, but that's very nice. No, I mean,
I've changed it around since the last time you were here.
all I do, Jane, is I just pass on my experience, my strength, and my hope. I don't know everything. I'm always willing to learn. I listen intently to what everybody's got to say, and I don't discard it, because sometimes you can discard something and you'll need to hear it next week, you see. So I put stuff, what doesn't resonate with me in the moment, I just put it on the back burner, because it might come back to smack me on the head next week. So I'm just learning myself, and you and I had a connection immediately, didn't we, at quite a deep soul level, and that's what I went with. And I didn't know you from Adam, but when you turned up, I felt this ba-bum, and I thought, aye. And I think there's a lot of that going on, where we're meeting people, and they're like soul groups, and sometimes you can connect with soul groups stronger than you can connect with family members and stuff like this.
I agree.
Spirit's sometimes thicker than water, and there's different relationships you can have there, so that's another thing. But what I'd like to say about anxiety, the root word of anxiety comes from the Latin angustia, which means a tightening or a narrowing, and it's normally associated with the throat. And when people are anxious, they get a grip in the throat, generally speaking.
Yeah.
And anxiety, you can't be anxious about the past. So you can only be anxious about the future. So anxiety is when your mind, even though you mightn't even know about it, when your mind is unconsciously playing over all these concerns. So if you feel anxious, it will be because you're projecting further than the end of your nose and worried about the future. Perfectly natural. But when it overpowers you and it paralyzes you and it stops you from taking correct actions, then this is what you do. You put your hands on your heart like that, Jane. And you go, breathe in, breathe out, and you breathe a positive, caring, smiley feeling. This is called This is called cultivating your inner smile. And when you smile, it displaces that negative feeling. Your throat relaxes, your chest relaxes, your head relaxes, and then more information comes in. And that's, you know damn well, that's all I'm trying to suggest strongly to people is, please give it a fair trial. 3 10-minute sessions a day, every day now, throughout this process. And hopefully you'll start to get a bit more clarity. And as for the situation with this coronavirus and stuff like that, is it real? Yes, it's real. You know, I don't know whether the figures, there's a lot of people out there who like to create all sorts of panic and worry and stuff like that. Well, what should we do if we've got symptoms? Well, if you've got symptoms, it says, you know, quite clearly, what are the, a cough, a new and continuous cough, a bit like yours, Jane. A high temperature, over 37.8. Now, if you haven't got a thermometer, if you put your hands on your chest or your hands on your back and it's hot, that would be considered to be a temperature. And sometimes you could be hot but feel freezing on the inside. That would be a concern. The other thing is shortness of breath as well and complete exhaustion. Now, a lot of these symptoms are very similar to a lot of seasonal flu and things, you see. But if you're concerned, then you must follow the guidelines from the government. And if you're concerned or you've got vulnerable people around you, then my suggestion is, let's be sensible about this. It really doesn't matter what's caused it. It's let's deal with this now in a sensible way without panic. There's a complete difference between being cautious and being fearful. And this is a real strong message I'm getting across here, hopefully. If you're afraid, then you put yourself in a loop of spiraling negatively downwards towards stress. When you're stressed, you'll produce a hormone called cortisol. It's the stress hormone. It immediately starts to impact upon your immune system. In fact, your immune system is almost bypassed because your body's now on defensive surveillance, you see. So all the energy comes away from your immune system. Please, if you're fearful, please try and do this slow, deep breathing. Get out into nature. Do some brisk walking, some gentle hatha yoga and yin yoga are so helpful because they've got breathing techniques, stretching techniques, mindfulness techniques, and deep, deep relaxation. So that's something to consider. You can get videos on, you can put the telly on and just gently do these things, you know. Drink
there's a lot of videos on YouTube, and if you're on Instagram, there's quite a few people on the Wirral that are doing these kind of things. You know, you've got the Wellbeing Campus that is doing online videos. You've got there's a lady, I think, what's the lady's name? There's a lady called, I can't remember. She always does like videos of stuff. There's Ellie Collins who does a lot of work with me with the yoga. She does live video, you know, videos of herself doing yoga. That's for the more advanced who are more, you know, but she does do lighter stuff as well. So, and it's all free. You don't have to pay for any of this stuff. It's all available online to you, you know.
No, I think that, you know, that's why we've come together for this as well is, you know, I'm sharing my experience where I was in a terrible, terrible place. I didn't even realize, but it's almost as if this whole thing that's happening now is bringing people together. You know, things have, you know, give time, you know, that means stop, relax, breathe, think more slowly, think more deeply before you come to any panicky decision. The other thing is easy does it. You know, if you're running around, right, trying to do this job, that job, this job, that job, you will become stressed. And when you're stressed, you'll become tense. When you're tense, you lay yourself open to all sorts of invasion by all sorts of different things, you know.
Definitely.
The positive cases of coronavirus, you know, are increasing, certainly. But be careful about the figures, you know, because the figures can be misleading if you don't actually read them statistically correctly. So what I'm saying is many, many people have shown symptoms, many, many thousands of people. They've had these symptoms that I've just discussed, and yet they've tested negative for coronavirus. I'm not saying be stupid. I'm saying be sensible. If you do have these things, you know, for your sake, and for the people around you. But let's just finish off on this, Jane. You and I are what's called energy practitioners. So if you keep your eye on your own energy, right, and you go deeper than that, then you will be infused with an energy from a different source that's not coming from you. And I think that this is what this is all about. It's helping people to get in touch with a deeper source of intuition, inspiration, and energy and healing that will help them. It's intricately connected with the return of the sacred feminine, absolutely no doubt about that. And yoga philosophy has almost predicted this for years and years and years, you know. So in closing, my darling, have you got anything to you'd like to get out there across the globe?
Just be. That is it. For now, just be at home, be with your family, be with be with the closest people to you. Spend that time, use it wisely, get a little routine together, create a little a little journal for yourself of what you're doing every day and what you want to do, and just do mindful things. Vision boards, create some vision boards, use what you've got. Use the back of old photographs and stick writing on it. If you've got no scissors or you've got no glue, just write on things. Do meditations. Give a hug to a family member. Just watch movies, clean up, decorate, be in the garden. Literally, just live, because I genuinely believe there's that much pollution going on in the world. There's that much stuff going on. I believe that the universe is trying to show us a message to just slow down. Everybody, slow down, recognize what's important. This is going to bring so many family members and so many friends together as a community, as a friendship, as family. And that's what life should be about. And I truly believe that, and I live and breathe that. So if you can do anything from this, be with the people that you love and let that love just shine out of you to everybody around you.
You can be the Pope-esque, because people have likened me to the Pope, but we can have a double act, can't we? Like the Pope and Pope-esque.
We should have a comedian act, because we'd be hilarious.
Of the whittle. We can do the whittle, because lightheartedness, not stupidity. Lightheartedness to me is the key. And what that means is, it means finding balance. It means
and don't take yourself too serious. I never, if I wasn't, if I wasn't sitting on a couch and I was sitting on the floor, I probably would have done a forward roll halfway through this. It's just my character. You're not gonna be too serious. So.
That would have worried me considerably. But Jane, thank you, my love.
Thank you very much, Joe, and thanks everyone.
We'll keep in touch, and
definitely.
And we'll just shoot the shit, it used to be called. We'll do that.
Yeah.
But more than anything else if there's anything playing on your mind, it's best to just get it off your chest, isn't it?
Definitely.
You're not looking for somebody else. You're not looking for somebody else to give you the solution, but you're just asking for a listening ear, really. So
definitely. Just while I'm on quickly, we should come on and do a maybe a video together of a mindful 30-minute session, free for everybody to just kind of reconnect to themselves a little bit, and just to try and help a few people. We could do that. We could arrange that for over the next week or something if you wanted to.
Thanks very much for that. I'm like chock-a-block and I've got loads of stuff to do, don't you? You're always trying to wangle me into something, you. Typical. No. If we can, and I am going to do an hour's sort of tutorial on how to do the science, if you like, of heart rate variability. I'm going to work on that.
Yeah.
But can I just say thanks, love, and keep in touch. And I'll see you soon.
All right, Joe. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.